All right, listen up. You're looking at a seed drill. Doesn't look like much, just a box on wheels with some gears, but this thing is the difference between a haphazard mess of a crop and a field that'll actually feed you. If you're serious about growing food, you need to understand why this tool is worth its weight in gold. First, let's talk about what it does. A seed drill plants seeds at the right depth and the right distance apart, every time. No more tossing seeds by hand and hoping for the best. No more bending over to poke each seed into the dirt. You fill this hopper with your seeds, set your depth and spacing, and let the drill do the work as you push it along. That means straight rows, even germination, and a whole lot less wasted seed. I've seen folks broadcast seeds like they're feeding chickens, and then they wonder why half the crop never comes up. This is how you do it right. Now, why does that matter? Because plants are like soldiers. You want them in formation, not all bunched up or scattered like a mob. Uniform spacing means less competition for water and nutrients, fewer weeds choking out your crops, and a hell of a lot easier time keeping everything maintained. I remember one year I had a late start on planting. Thought I'd missed my window, but I used this drill, got my seeds in the ground fast and even, and still pulled a decent harvest. Another time, I had a small plot and not enough seed to waste. This drill made sure every single one counted. Here's how you use it. Fill the hopper with your seeds. Don't overpack it or you get clogs. Adjust the depth setting based on what you're planting. Too shallow and the birds will eat your seeds, or the sun will dry them out. Too deep and they'll rot before they sprout. Most seeds want to be about twice as deep as they are wide. Then set your spacing. Different crops need different room to grow, so check your seed packet or ask someone who knows. Once it's set, you just push it along in straight rows. Keep your pace steady. If you're jerking it around, you'll get uneven distribution. And here's the thing, this isn't just for big fields. Even in a small garden, a seed drill saves you time and seed. Modern farmers use fancy tractors with GPS and all that nonsense, but those things break down, need fuel, and cost a fortune. A manual seed drill just needs you, a little elbow grease, and some common sense. No noise, no fumes, no waiting for the repair guy. Now, it's not foolproof. You got to keep an eye on it. If seeds aren't dropping right, check for clogs or adjust the settings. And don't forget to clean it out when you're done. Dirt and moisture will rust the gears faster than you can say failed harvest. Wipe it down, oil the moving parts, and store it somewhere dry. Some of you might be thinking, this seems like a lot of work for an old-fashioned tool. But old-fashioned works. It's reliable. And when you're counting on your crop to get you through the winter, reliable is what you want. So who's ready to give it a try? And remember, if you're not planting with precision, you're just guessing. And guessing doesn't fill your pantry. Listen up. This little thing in my hand is called a dibber. Doesn't look like much, just a pointed stick with a handle, but it's one of the handiest tools you'll ever use in a garden. And if you're serious about growing your own food, you better learn how to use it right. A dibber's job is simple. It pokes holes, but not just any holes. Holes at the right depth, the right distance apart every time. No more tossing seeds by hand and hoping for the best. No more bending over to poke each seed into the dirt. You fill this hopper with your seeds, set your depth and spacing, and let the drill do the work as you push it along. That means straight rows, even germination, and a whole lot less wasted seed. I've seen folks broadcast seeds like they're feeding chickens, and then they wonder why half their crop never comes up. This is how you do it right. Now, why does that matter? Because plants are like soldiers. You want them in formation, not all bunched up or scattered like a mob. Uniform spacing means less competition for water and nutrients, fewer weeds choking out your crops, and a hell of a lot easier time keeping everything maintained. I remember one year I had a late start on planting. Thought I'd missed my window, but I used this dibber, got my seeds in the ground fast and even, and still pulled a decent harvest. Another time, I had a small plot and not enough seed to waste. This dibber made sure every single one counted. Here's how you use it. Grip it like a pencil, firm but not like you're trying to strangle it. Press it straight into the soil to the mark for the seed you're planting. Most dibbers have lines or notches. Those are your guides. No marks? Rule of thumb, the hole should be about twice as deep as the seed is wide. Drop your seed in, cover it up, and move on to the next. No fuss, no muss. And if you're transplanting seedlings, a dibber lets you make a hole just the right size for the roots, so you're not mangling them trying to shove them in with your fingers. Now, don't go ramming it into the ground like you're digging a post hole. That compacts the soil, and compacted soil kills plants. Press it in smooth, pull it out clean, and for the love of all things green, space your holes right. Crowded plants fight for water and nutrients. That means smaller harvests, more disease, and a whole lot of extra work for you. Some of you might be thinking, this seems too simple. That's because it is simple, but simple works. You don't need fancy gadgets to grow food. You need consistency. A dibber gives you that. It's fast, it's precise, and it doesn't run out of batteries. When you're done, wipe it off. Sand out any splinters. Nothing ruins a day in a garden like a sliver in your palm. Store it somewhere dry. A tool this basic doesn't need much, but it does need to be ready when you are. So who's ready to plant like they mean it? And remember, if you're not planting with precision, you're just guessing. And guessing's a bad habit when your dinner's on the line. Listen up. This little thing right here, this is called a hand trowel. Doesn't look like much, but it's the one thing I've carried with me from my Army days to my garden, and it's never let me down. If you're serious about growing your own food or just surviving, this is the tool you need in your pocket or in your pack. A hand trowel is small, but it's mighty. The blade's curved just enough to scoop soil, but strong enough to cut through roots or weeds. Mine's made of stainless steel, no rust, no bending, with a handle that fits my grip like it was made for me. Big tools like shovels and spades are great for moving dirt, but they're useless when you need precision. A trowel? It's like an extension of your hand. You can dig a hole for a seedling, transplant a plant without tearing its roots, or weed out a tight spot without disturbing what's around it. And I've ever tried to grow food in a container or a raised bed, you know a shovel's just gonna make a mess. A trowel gets the job done right. I've used this thing for everything. Planting seeds, digging up potatoes, even mixing compost into a small bed. One time, I had a tomato plant that was struggling. Roots bound up, barely hanging on. A bigger tool would have torn it apart, but with this trowel, I loosened the soil, gave it room to breathe, and that plant ended up feeding me for weeks. Another time, I was stuck in a city apartment with nothing but a balcony. This trowel and a few buckets were all I needed to grow enough greens to keep me going. Here's how you use it. Grip it like you mean it, firm but not like you're trying to strangle it. Use the tip to dig small holes or cut through weeds, and the curve to scoop and lift. Don't treat it like a tiny shovel. That's how you bend the blade or snap the handle. Work with it, not against it. And keep that edge sharp. A dull trowel is worse than no trowel. Some of you might think, it's just a little scoop. What's the big deal? The big deal is that this thing fits in your pocket, in your bug-out bag, or in your glove compartment. It doesn't need gas, it doesn't break down, and it'll last you decades if you treat it right. I've seen people try to garden with whatever's lying around, a stick, a spoon, even their hands, and then they wonder why nothing grows. A trowel is the difference between struggling and thriving. When you're done, clean it off. Wipe the dirt off the blade, dry it, and store it somewhere it won't get banged up. A little oil on the metal now and then keeps it from rusting. Treat it right, and it'll be the last trowel you ever need. So, who's ready to dig in? And remember, if you're not using the right tool, you're just making extra work for yourself. And out here, extra work means wasted time. And time is one thing you can't afford to waste.